Good morning. How are we doing this morning? That's all that matters. How are you? Yeah. All right, good morning. Well, it's a good morning for me. Hey, you. How you feeling? Good. Yeah, good, good. All right, we're going to pick up where we left off with this case study on which is based off of the various stages, if you will, or places, conditions of the soil, of the parable of the sower. Does everybody have a copy? Does anybody need a copy? What's the matter with you? You too? Are you kidding me? She needs one for sure. Here you go. You gonna share? Okay. Here you go. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. You're welcome. All right, we good? All right. So, just as a quick review, remember this case study is really, it's just a way to apply or see how the parable of the sower and other things that we've talked about actually apply in real life, okay? This is important because it's not enough to have just information or knowledge. You've got to be able to apply that and see how it works out in everyday life, okay? And also, I think it helps to demonstrate how this is not something we could do alone. It's not something we do on our own. And I hope that this is helping to paint that picture for you, okay? Just as a review, we went through part one of Jacob's story. And that part one really was meant to depict the hardened and closed off heart, or the hardened soil, as it were, right? Not easily penetrated, which makes it easy for the enemy to just snatch up the truth. It just kind of lays there. It doesn't do anything, right? Then part two was a space where a person, or you and I no doubt have experienced this, where we're enthusiastic about the change or the possibilities, right? But that only lasts for so long, and eventually it kind of fades. You ever wonder why that happens sometimes? Nobody? I do, or I have. I don't know how many times that's happened with me with various things, and it's just an indicator of where I am and what I'm able to receive in that moment, okay? And that's important to recognize, but this is really indicative of the rocky ground, the rocky soil, remember? There's just not enough soil there to develop a sustaining root system, as it were. And so that just gives us an understanding as to what's going on, maybe where we are in our thinking, in our condition, in light of whatever the thing is that we're trying to change or we're not grabbing a hold of or whatever, okay? Any questions about any of that? How'd last week go? Okay, I heard the teacher was phenomenal. All right, yeah. Any questions about any of that? Are we ready for part 3? And remember, this doesn't necessarily, in real life, the parable of the sower specifically doesn't necessarily create or demonstrate or reflect a real life scenario where you go from one stage to the next, to the next, to the next, right? Each one just simply indicates where a person's heart might be in any given moment. However, we've created it is not a real story. It is a fiction story. But we've created it to depict what it might look like for one to transition in growth, and each one of these stages are reflected in Jacob's life. Does that make sense? To one person it does. That makes sense, guys? Okay. All right. So, part 3, here we go. This is where growth slows, right? And there's distractions, kind of a drift, you're just kind of in neutral. Anybody ever experienced that before? Making No? Okay. Tell us how you did it. We're making progress. Things are happening, maybe, right? What you were struggling with before is not the struggle anymore. Maybe it's something else. Or maybe you just feel flat, right? You ever get to that place where you're just like, Anybody? That's real, right? You feel that in various moments. And that's kind of what this part reflects. It's the thorns, right? Remember, where do weeds grow? Where we don't want them. Where plants grow, right? Weeds grow with the good soil, man. They need the same things, right? And so this is meant to depict that thorny soil, right? Where plants are growing, but there's thorns. And remember in the parable of the sower, the word actually takes root, but it gets crowded out by other things, right? What are those other things? Life. Cares and pursuits, right? Desires. We flex and wane all the time with these types of things. And I think that this part really reflects what it looks like to be in that season. Okay? All right, so let's pick up on the story of part 3. Months later, Jacob's guilt is quieter, but still there. It's humming in the background. You guys ever experienced that? Where there is this thing that you really should be paying attention to, but you're not. And it's back there. You know it's back there. It's this right under the surface type vibration, ambiance type thing. Like you just know it's there, right? Ever experienced that? But you do a bunch of things to try to ignore it? We'll get to it later. Would be the safe one, right? Or we do we're very intentional about blocking it out because we don't want to pay attention to it. Experience that? Okay, that's where we're at. That's what we're talking about here. So it's humming in the background. He keeps busy. Remember, there's a tremendous amount of guilt that is there, okay, that he's wrestling with. He keeps busy teaching, coaching, home repairs, parenting. What does that represent? Life. Just life, right? Life gets busy. And there's plenty of things to give our attention to, right? Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Filler to hide what's underneath. Okay. So he's busying himself with all these normal things, right? He occasionally feels the Spirit nudge him towards stillness, but he resists. He says, I'll pray later. In reality, Jacob's busyness, pay attention to this, has become a spiritual strategy. That's what Scott and Chuck were hinting at here. Busyness has become his spiritual strategy. It's interesting. A socially accepted, right? Let's stop right there. Socially acceptable. Is it socially acceptable to be busy? To have too much to do? To have your plate so filled up that all you can say is, I am so busy? Typical American, right? In fact, there's a pride even that goes with that, right? Like, I am just busy, because if you're busy, what does that sometimes indicate? Ooh, I'm important. I'm an achiever. What else? Working for the Lord, right? Yeah, man. That'll preach right there. Anybody else? Yeah, like it's a badge. It's a badge. Successful, right? Successful, but there's oftentimes so many other things that are going on behind that aren't healthy, aren't helpful, aren't good, okay? So, in reality, Jacob's busyness has become a spiritual strategy, a socially acceptable way to avoid deep work. His will is fragmented. What's the will? What's the will? What he wants, where does it reside? In the heart. So when we talk about the will, it's helpful, I think, to automatically think about the heart, because that's where it's coming from. That's where it sits, that's where it resides, that's where it lives, okay? It is what's feeding our lives, okay? But it's fragmented. It's fragmented. I like that idea. I think it's helpful to explore. It's fragmented. His mind is consumed by tasks, his body rarely rests, and his soul remains tired. Mind constantly going, thinking about the next thing. It's what drives you. You live that out physically, but yet overall, remember that ambient tension that we feel? Think about that as like the soul. Think about just in the sense that overall like, man, you're just worn out. And you're wondering maybe, how much longer can I keep this up? Ever experienced that? It's a sense, right? But you keep going. Something's driving you. But it ain't the Lord. Okay? But his will is fragmented, because up to this point, he's feeling less guilt. He's kind of started and wrestling with the things that he's been trying to face. He's made some progress, right? There's some growth that has happened. But he's not there yet, right? And he's in this place right now where it's, sometimes deep work is hard. And imagine what it feels like when you're tired, you're exhausted. Internally, you're exhausted. But you have to keep going, because stopping and turning your attention towards this other thing seems exhausting. And you're on the merry-go-round. Do they make those anymore? When I was a kid, we were talking about that the other day. When I was a kid, merry-go-rounds? Yeah, trap of death. It's a lot of fun. Right? That was our adrenaline rushes as a kid. So, and it's just a never-ending thing. You ever felt that? I have, right? Makes it very easy. Do you have one of these? No. Would you like one? Okay. So, in this scenario, why has his growth slowed? Yeah. He's filled his life with busyness, right? And that distracts, doesn't it? Right? Somebody read Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42. I think this is a good reminder. It's one of my favorite sections in the gospel. Luke 10, 38 through 42. Somebody read that loud and clear. What do we take from that? How can that be helpful in this scenario? Okay. Distracted by much serving. Now, I think it's extremely important to recognize that what Martha was doing was expected. It was based on social values. No one would have questioned what she was doing. And even, in fact, I would suggest that people may have questioned more about what Mary was doing as opposed to what Martha was doing, okay? I find that extremely interesting. There's a lot we could talk about there. But even in that scenario, Jesus says the issue is what? You're distracted by much serving. And what is the counter response? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No question about it. Man, there's so many values that come up in this. It's really fascinating. So what's the response to this? What's Jesus' response? I mean, come on. You have one busy serving, distracted by serving, and the other is doing what? You know, one of the things that she is just simply being present, paying attention, listening. Who knows what's going on inside of her, but she is just being present with the Lord, taking in that moment, whatever's happening in that space. And that is more important than the things that Martha was so focused on. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Right? Yeah. And because that's where the service should come from, right? Right?
Well, I also think that when you spend so much time on service and not any time being poured into what he's pouring out, you don't have anything to pour out. Or you're not pouring out from the right place. Yeah. You're not pouring out the right space because God is being filled with the Spirit.
Yeah.
Or you're ready for God to send you out to do.
Yeah. You can't give what you don't have, right? And when you give it, whatever it is, it can definitely come across. Okay, go ahead, Charlie. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she does. And what you have here, man, this is so good. You have a competition of values at play here, okay? And Martha's values are being challenged, okay? It's really, I love just sitting with this particular story here because it says a lot. But I think it's also helpful for us overall to be reminded of what the best part is, right? What's the best part? And allow all the other things. It feeds everything. Everything else flows from that, okay? And if we're running on empty, we might be serving. We might be giving out, but what we're giving out, the place we're serving from, may not be the best. It's like, we're going to talk about this morning. It's like what Paul says. You could have all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the answers, speak in all the languages, do all these things, prophesy, you could, all this stuff. But then he says, and so let's apply that. You can serve all day long. You do all the things that make it look like what should be. But without love, it's what? It is pointless. It is worthless. Okay? Apply that to what we're talking about here between Mary and Martha, right? She's just simply being challenged, but let's take that a step further, right? The place from which you live, the sources that are feeding you, that's what you're giving out, whether you want to or not. That's the reality, okay? That's the reality. And so I think it's helpful at the very least at this point. We've kind of belabored this, but acknowledge what's the best part. What is the best part? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes it easier to not focus on yourself when you're so focused on everybody else. And we can go down those rabbit trails if you like. Go ahead. Mm. Yeah. Just being present. Yeah, go ahead.
Just the whole Mary and Martha dichotomy. I just stepped off the plane from the Philippines yesterday, and in the Philippines, we just sit. Me and the Filipinos just sit and we talk. We sit and talk for a subject about hours.
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Not like America, not home.
Right. Yeah. People can't sit very long, right? Go ahead.
So, his listening.
It is. I'm her husband. I can vouch for that. Yeah.
I didn't realize it until my granny passed away. And after her funeral, I came home and I just kind of sat for a little while. And then the next day, I just went into like cleaning mode and like deep cleaning, mopping the floors multiple times, wiping down the walls, like doing all these things.
It's ridiculous. It is.
Adam stopped me and was like, "What are you running from?" And of course, my response was nothing. The house needs to be clean, it's a mess. But
And it is not.
now, because of that one moment, I can actually recognize in myself, I'm like, these times super busy. What am I running from?
Yeah, it's easy to point out for my wife because our house is always like really clean, immaculate, and she's over here, it's dirty, and I'm like, I can see my reflection in the floor that's not meant to reflect my face. You know what I'm saying? It's like the carpet even, like, come on. Yeah. All right, so it's good to remember, okay? Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." When you hear that and you think about the way that Jacob is living his life, let's contrast that just for a moment. What's the difference? Cool. You wonder whose yoke he's got on, right? Yeah, there's a difference. Okay, remember the yoke, you're attaching yourself to Jesus, and we call it the easy yoke, right? And remember how the yoke works. You guys remember that? With the older oxen and the younger oxen, and the older, more mature knows the plan, he knows the rhythm, he knows the speed, he knows the direction, he knows. And while the younger thinks he's stronger, smarter, yada, 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 all the things, right? The older is just steady as it goes and brings him back every time he wants to go off, slows down, speeds up, all those things, right? When we yoke ourselves to Jesus, we're living our lives with him, and he is guiding us, right? And here's the thing, we expect, this has to go beyond just, hypothetically speaking, this is something that I like to think about that is happening, as opposed to, no, I expect the Lord is going to guide me in these moments. I expect the Lord is going to show me. He's going to open doors. He's going to close. I expect these things. That's living by faith. Trust and expectation, right? And so there's the contrast. So these are good verses, I think, to remember as we sit in this type of soil, right? With all the various things that are grabbing for our attention. I'm so divided. My heart is fragmented as well, because we live in a time where there's so much information, so much good stuff, technology, like so many advancements, so many things that are just like, wow, right? But then on the other hand, it's like a lot of that stuff, sometimes maybe depending on how it's being used, but a lot of that stuff is just dividing us internally and separating us and distracting us and pulling us away, right? One of the statistics I want to mention this morning is we take in as much information today generally speaking, today, you and I take in as much information as a person who lived 500 years ago took in their lifetime. And that wasn't just any old person. It was a highly educated person. The amount of information they took in over their lifetime is what we can take in every day. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of stuff. And I love it. I think it's great. I am very curious about everything, and I want to learn about everything. I love to research. I love to read. I love to listen. I love having conversations. I like philosophizing about things. I love it. Data is it's so good. I love it because it is helpful. But that can put us in places where it can stifle us. Can keep us from growing, especially when we think that knowledge alone is the thing that helps us grow or is the thing that causes the growth. It's helpful, right? But we have to be careful. So, yes, exactly, right? It becomes your yoke. That's good. I like that. I have to borrow that. Okay, so a couple of reflection questions here. How does distraction serve as a form of spiritual resistance to us today? It is the vehicle by which we run from other things, right? It can be. That's our spiritual strategy, if you will, right? Good point. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. become natural. Yeah. The way I talk about it is aligning ourselves with the heart of God, and everything else aligns and falls where it needs to, right? Anybody else? So yeah, it keeps us numb, right? Busyness, it's an escape. It keeps us numb, and it can help us be unaware, or at least not pay attention to what we are aware of, the pain, maybe, the inner pain. Makes life feel full, right? But leaves the soul feeling what? Empty, dry. It can prevent moments, right, of conviction, moments where healing can actually happen. It protects us from facing those things that really, I think, especially things that I think that God would want to transform within us. Okay? Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. How does that apply? How can that apply? Can't take it with you, okay? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Look a little harder, a little deeper. Okay, it's a heart posture. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fill in the blank. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. That's a trap. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. There it is. It is a heart posture, and it is about, there is a sense in which it will not satisfy. That's why it continues to leave you empty, right? Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. 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 That's a good word. I like that word, a counterfeit, right? Because there's the lies we believe, and it's not just a blatant lie. Like, it looks like it's the truth. Like, it looks like it will be the thing, right? So when you look at this, think about constant distraction and how it does the very same thing, okay? It creates the illusion, the counterfeit of fullness. You might even say life to the full, or abundant life, if you will, right? It can create the illusion of fullness without true satisfaction. You guys get that? You see that? Like, busyness does the same thing here. It's the same thing. So like Abby's, fill in the blank. Just fill in the blank, okay? Psalm 46:10. There's a good passage to remember. Anybody know that one? Come on, right? Silence and stillness are essential when it comes to spiritual awareness, because it's the counter to distractions, which do what? Block this awareness, right? Or this encounter. So, go ahead. Yes. Yes, stop striving. I like that. I like that. So what might business reveal about Jacob and what he really trusts to bring peace? And there's no wrong answer here. It's hypothetical. What might, and we might just put ourselves in this situation, right? What might business reveal about what we really trust to bring us peace? The importance of things. Having things. Yeah. Okay? Oneself. What else? What else?
Sometimes there might be an aspect of things that we want to control.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a moment. Anybody else? What's he doing? He's staying busy, right? Go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Productivity, achievement, right? That's where he finds his value, his worth. And so let's just piggyback on that, okay? If a person trusts productivity more than presence, you guys understand that statement? If a person trusts his productivity more than presence, what might their worth be tied to? External achievements, right? Okay. When worth is tied to external accomplishments or achievements, what might stillness feel like? Wasting time? Like you're a failure, right? Like I gotta go. Yeah, okay. Here's some insight. Busyness can be a control addiction. You know what that, you understand? You're addicted to being in control, right? What does transformation require? Surrender, relinquishing that control, okay? Proverbs 3:5-6, listen to this. Does anybody know that verse? Come on, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on. In all your ways, submit to, and he will make your paths straight. Busyness and control reflect what? Self-reliance. Okay? Surrendering to God invites what? It's the yoke. It's the easy yoke, right? Guided transformation. You had your hand up? Go ahead.
Yes. If we, a lot of this stuff can be compared.
Yeah.
But let's take money, for example. So we got a billionaire on one hand, and we got somebody that's got 10 cents on the other hand. Probably this billionaire is not satisfied with $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
He wants the next hill.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not satisfied, he's actually poor.
Yeah.
You may look at him as wealthy,
Right,
oh,
right,
he's
right,
got
right,
this
yeah.
$1 billion,
Yeah.
oh, wonderful. But he's not satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other hand, this guy with the 10 cents, if he's satisfied with that, he's the rich one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Contentment. Go ahead, Paul.
There's a seeming dichotomy. I just love that word, I don't know why. But these opposites that the Spirit speaks through Paul. In Thessalonians, he says, if a man doesn't work, neither should he eat. But then, talking to Timothy, he says, if we've got food and clothing, shelter, let's be content.
Yeah.
So there is a participation that we have
Mm-hmm.
that is a partnership
Yeah.
with the Almighty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I see myself as being the only one. Someone said it, and you hear it once in a while. I asked God for X, Y, and Z, but then I thought, well, I'll deal with it myself. That fails to understand the partnership,
Mm-hmm.
that I am the creature.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus wasn't kidding that he numbers the hairs that come out of my comb in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, which brings us to the point here, right? How can embodied practices like fasting, various ways of praying, help realign? You know, Jacob split. His body is tired, or his body keeps going, but his soul is tired, right? How do you realign those things? What are some things that he can do? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come on now. Right? Right? You can't escape it, right? So, moments of stillness, slow breathing, relaxed posture can help remind us of a lot of things, but if we're doing that, reminding ourselves of how grace is received and not earned, right? Physically, you're slowing things down, allowing yourself to be a little bit more present to what's going on. And if in those moments we focus and remind ourselves that grace is received and not earned. Remember, grace is God's action in our lives, doing what we cannot do on our own. That partnership there is extremely important. God can do it, but for some reason he chooses not to unless without us. He's not going to do it without us. That's just, I don't understand it. I wish he would. I wish he'd just do it, but you know, that's just not the way it works. So, walking prayers, which is just, you're just walking. Anybody do that? Walking, and you talked about it, you know, praying, it engages your body and your attention. You got any walkers in here? You understand that? Yeah, look. There's no better way to get your mind really on track than as you're walking, focusing on either prayers or reciting scripture or talking to God. But physical movements help us focus our minds while intentionally praying and reflecting on scripture. Super beneficial. Breath prayers. Anybody familiar with breath prayers? Anybody remember? Familiar with that? Anybody? Anyone who hasn't read Henry Nouwen? Familiar with breath prayers? Right? Breath prayer is just a simple practice. I find it super helpful. It's, you could say something like, as an inhale, you say 1 or 2 or 3 words. Exhale, 1 or 2 or 3 words. It could be something like, "Here I am, Lord," as you inhale. And then as you exhale, it's "I yield to you," or you can use scripture for this, okay? Again, it's a way of connecting our minds, our bodies, and our hearts, okay? We're aligning them, okay? And that's super important. Fasting, anybody fast in here? Come on. Like, somebody was talking about dopamine. Who was talking about? Yeah. Oh, look. Dopamine Nation is a good book you should read. Fasting, and it doesn't have to just be food, okay? It can be lots of things, various things, but disrupts our over-reliance on comfort and control, teaches us a lot of things in those moments. I'm a big proponent of Sabbath rest. We don't have time to go into that, but I think it's hugely important. And I think those are the things that it would take. You go to the next question. What would it take for Jacob to begin noticing God in ordinary life? Engaging in these things, intentionally pausing, reminding himself, even picking up and continuing with the things that he has done up to this point, right? Those conversations, small group, whatever it is, right? Being in community, slowing down, becoming more and more aware. So, speaking truth out loud, right? I mean, even something simple as, okay, Lord, I need you to, you gotta have me. You've got me. I don't have this. Okay. All right. Any questions? Good, because we don't have any more time. We'll pick up there next week with the final part. Okay. Thank you, guys.